The quiet season. There comes a time in every life when the world grows too quiet, when the noise of yesterday fades, and all that's left is the sound of your own heart asking, "What now?" This is the story of Evelyn Carter, a writer in her 40s who once had everything, and then, in the silence that followed loss, had to find herself again. It's a story about grief, forgiveness, and the gentle, unhurried beauty of starting over. About how even the softest light can return if you give yourself permission to heal. The departure. Sometimes the world grows too loud to hear your own heart. Evelyn Carter had spent 20 years writing stories about love, hope, and courage, yet she had forgotten how any of it actually felt. 2 winters ago, she'd buried her husband, Daniel, after his long fight with cancer. Their Chicago apartment had once been filled with laughter and books. Now it was filled only with silence. For months she tried to write, but every word blurred into grief. Her editor kept calling, her friends kept checking in. But Evelyn had already drifted somewhere far away inside herself. Then one morning, while snow pressed against the window, she whispered to the empty room, "I can't stay here anymore." The next week, she sold nearly everything she owned. She packed her notebooks, Daniel's old letters, and his typewriter, the one that still smelled faintly of ink and hope. And then she drove east. After 2 days, she found herself in a small coastal town in Maine called Willow Harbor. Population 2,317. A town where time moved slower, where strangers waved, and the air always smelled like salt and pine. She rented a tiny blue cottage near the sea, Seabreeze Cottage. Her landlord, Margaret Lowe, smiled and said, "Writers always end up here." Something about the salt air clears the mind. That first night, Evelyn fell asleep to the sound of waves, and for the first time in 2 years, she slept through the night. Part 2. The quiet days, soft piano tone, peaceful morning ambience. Days in Willow Harbor pass like turning pages in an old book. Every morning, Evelyn watched the sunrise from her window, coffee in hand, the ocean glowing gold. She began carrying a notebook again, writing single sentences, fragments of thoughts, like scattered seashells. The sea forgives what the heart cannot. Grief is not a storm that passes, it's a tide that returns softer each time. It wasn't a novel, but it was something. Each afternoon, she visited the Harbor Light Cafe. That's where she met Sam, the man behind the counter, mid-40s, calm eyes, and a quiet laugh that sounded like home. He'd always say, "Coffee, Black?" and she'd always nod. One day, he pointed to the window seat and said, "That's the writer's table. It's yours if you want it." She smiled, shy but warm. He didn't know, or maybe he did, that those simple words were the first kindness she'd truly felt in months. That night, Evelyn placed a blank page in Daniel's old typewriter. She hesitated, then wrote, Chapter 1, The Quiet Season. The sound of that first key hitting paper echoed like a heartbeat returning to life. Weeks passed. She and Sam became friends. They talked about books, weather, and sometimes about loss. One evening, he said softly, "My wife passed 7 years ago." Cancer Evelyn froze. Then she met his eyes. There was no pity there, just understanding. In that moment, 2 broken hearts recognized each other, and something quiet, gentle, and new began to grow. Spring came with soft rain and gray skies. Evelyn's book began to take shape, a story about rediscovering life, written in the same town where she was learning to live again. But there was something she hadn't faced yet. A wooden box in the back of her closet. Inside, letters from Daniel. One she had never opened. The last one. It said, "For when you're ready." That night, thunder rolled over the sea as she opened it. Her hands trembled. "My dearest Evelyn, If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. But you're still here. You'll think the world has ended, but it hasn't. One day, you'll see something beautiful. A sunrise, a smile, the ocean, and you'll remember that you're still alive. Don't hide from the world, Evie. Let it love you again. And write. Write, because that's how you keep me alive. Daniel, tears filled her eyes. For the first time, grief didn't feel like a wound. It felt like a memory of love. She whispered, "You were right, Daniel. I am still alive." The next morning, she told Sam about the letter. He said quietly, "Sometimes the hardest things bring us back to life." And in that moment, Evelyn understood. Healing wasn't about forgetting, it was about remembering differently. The light returns summer arrived. The town bloomed with light, and Evelyn's story was finished. She brought her manuscript to the cafe. Sam smiled. "You did it," she laughed. "I did." Finally, that evening, she invited him to her cottage. They sat together by the window, watching the sea. "What's it about?" he asked. She smiled. "A woman who lost everything and found herself again." He nodded. "Sounds beautiful." As the sun set, he turned to her and said, "I think Daniel would be proud of you." Her voice softened. "I think he would too." Weeks later, Evelyn's book was published. She began teaching writing classes at the town library. Every Thursday night, the sound of laughter and typing filled the room. Evelyn no longer wrote to escape pain. She wrote to share peace. One evening, she and Sam sat at the pier, watching the golden sky fade into the sea. He asked, "What's next for you, writer?" She smiled. "Maybe another story. Maybe just more living," soft piano swells. Love never leaves us. It changes form, from the one we lost to the one we become. She looked at the horizon, the wind soft against her face, and whispered, "Thank you, Daniel. And thank you, Sam." Fade out, soft ocean waves. Final moral and guide message. Piano fades in gently again. Sometimes life asks us to begin again, not because we've failed, but because we've grown. Healing doesn't arrive like thunder. It comes in quiet mornings, kind faces, small moments of grace. Evelyn's story reminds us that love doesn't end, it transforms. It waits for us in new seasons, in new hearts, in new chances. If you are still finding your way after loss, remember this: you are not broken, you are becoming. And no matter how long the winter lasts, the quiet season always gives way to light. Soft piano fades out, end screen. The quiet season. Because every ending can be a beginning, if you have the courage to open your heart again.